Welcome. This is Ignite Kingdom Talk. Make the marketplace the miracle place. Welcome to Ignite Kingdom Talk, where faith-filled business leaders come to grow, connect, and make the marketplace the miracle place. Recorded live at the 2025 Ignite Kingdom Conference, today's guest is Jason Webb, owner of MyLeadCode.com and Managing Partner of Magnify2.com, sharing how Christian business leaders can harness AI as a tool for kingdom advancement. Join us today. Ignite is a growing network of Christian business leaders walking together in faith, accountability, and kingdom impact. Learn more and take your next step at ignite-kg.org. Ignite Kingdom Talk is made possible through the generous support of our Ignite Partner Access members, a subscription-based community offering Christ-centered accountability, encouragement, and growth through small groups. And now, in the name of Jesus, may your faith be ignited afresh and anew.
All right, everybody standing up. Let's stretch. Let's get going. We're going to talk about some AI stuff today. Okay, so let's go ahead and stretch, get everything up, get those nerves woke up and your mind working. Get your notebooks out. We're actually going to do a true workshop where we can actually get into some skills that you guys can utilize in your businesses and in your daily lives. You know, researching your scripturally based side that you can use on an everyday basis within AI. Let's make sure everything's working here. So I want to start this off by saying, you guys go ahead and sit down now, that I am not an AI expert, okay? I know I'm up here teaching on some AI pieces, but when Craig had asked me to teach on some AI, I said, well, Craig, I really don't have a lot of credentials for this. He goes, but you use AI in everything. You know, I teach people AI in my businesses, in my consulting businesses, my coaching businesses. As you see here on the screens, it's one of my other businesses. I do lead generation. And we use AI in doing this, in finding how to get in front of the right audiences on a consistent basis. So my business background, and I apologize if I speak too fast, guys. My brain works very quickly. I have ADHD. Part of my reasons why AI is kind of like my superpower with my ADHD. I know a lot of us are entrepreneurs, and we all have a bit of ADHD, right? It's the new shiny object syndrome. So we'll get into that in a minute. But my background. So I've been a business development guy for my entire career. I grew up in a small town, well, not really small, but a very blue-collar, hard town in Colorado. I'm a Colorado boy, still live in Colorado. And where we grew up, it was tough, okay? My dad was a truck driver, my mom was a teacher, and we didn't have a lot growing up, but we had love. And one thing that I realized at a very early age was that we had to work for everything that we had. Everything, okay? Me, my sister, my mom, dad, we lived in a 900 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, just basics of everything we had. My dad, he used to wrench on the side, do some mechanicing work. My mom had a bookkeeping business. She did taxes. So there was always an entrepreneurial spirit in the house, so we always knew that we had to do more to succeed. So at an early age, I got into buying bulk candy, okay? Grade school, the big Jolly Rancher sticks. So started selling them at school, making some money, got to buy my candy, got to buy my little toys and things that I wanted. That was the first business I had until, of course, I got caught in school and they didn't like that I was selling candy bars. Starts, right? So stopped in that one. But that was my first venture into entrepreneurship. So then what happened is I started going through school. I played sports. Actually, was pretty good at sports. It afforded me the opportunity to go to college. First person in my entire family to go to college, okay, and graduate college. So here I am, first person in my entire family and extended family to go to college, thinking that I'm going to make it. Everything's going to be great. So we're going through school, made it through, played football, did all the things. I know I kind of look like probably an ice skater or something, but no, it was football, okay? Got through school and started a business with a buddy in my early 20s. And this business actually turned out to be pretty successful. One thing that I found that I was good at, hence why our company here is prospecting and getting in front of the right clients, is I have an ignorance about me that says that I can get in front of just about anybody and talk to anybody, okay? I just think that I can do that. Don't know why. It's kind of God's gift that he gives me, that I'm just not afraid. And I think it's because where I grew up and everything that I've done, I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. okay? And we all have to do that. That's where we grow. So, started that business, failed completely. We got in front of the United States Postal Service, had a contract ready to go in place to put these billboards on all of their vehicles. Learned some big mistakes within this. One thing with this is I did not have faith in my life at that time. You know, we grew up with faith. We grew up believing God, but we did not have a relationship with God. I didn't at that point. Again, I'm going through all this college, going through business, all these things, thinking I can do it on my own. I think we've all been there at some point. So, realizing I did not have God, that business failed. Okay, I didn't learn that that's the reason why the business failed until quite a few years later. Started a real estate company. Had a title company, mortgage company, investment company, and things were going great. Starting to build things up, do well. Sorry, I keep moving the microphone. And 08 hit. We all know what happens in 08. Market tanked, real estate market crashed, lost everything. Okay, second time, lost everything. This time, going through divorce, filed bankruptcy, and realized that we were dealing with some fraudulent mortgage brokers that we had no idea. So now I'm going through legal issues as well. Man, my life at this point, not sure what's going to happen, what's going to go on. You know, my family, I got to turn to my family. I think they're maybe watching now or maybe watching later, but they stuck by me through the entire process, the only ones that I had. You know, my name was getting dragged through the mud for a lot of different things. It was tough. It was very difficult. But through all of this, I realized I needed God in my life, right? I said, I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? So I went to church just as an invitation. The pastor spoke directly to me and said in this message, I know he wasn't speaking directly to me, but that's what I felt, was that I had the wrong people around me. You know, I was always thinking that I had to be the guy. I was the quarterback of the football team, leading all these businesses, that I always had to have those answers. No, I had to have the people around me. So through this, I started getting into the tire business. We all have tires. We all need tires. My dad, drove a truck. My grandpa drove a truck. I knew all of the big stuff. That's how I got into that business. Well, I had to have a job. I had 2 daughters. I was a single father. I needed to do something. So I picked up a job making $11 an hour delivering tires. Had to do something, right? I'm almost 27 and 28 at the time. And $11 an hour, it's something. So that's what I did. Well, quickly we got into there, and they realized that I had more skills than what was for a delivery driver. By my 3rd year in the company, I was the top salesman in the company. Was with that company for 10 years, started up multiple different stores. Again, top salesman out of 32 salesmen there. Built that company up to $65 million. Next company I went to, started up another tire store. They recruited me, and within that tire company, I ended up as the top store in the nation, top manager of the nation, and we went in the black within 3 months. Pretty impressive with a brand new business. Again, because of the people that I had around me. I kept circling people around me that I needed. Hence this whole thing about the groups that we have, right? Putting the right people around you. I want to kind of bring that back. So going through all of this, the last job that I had as a day job before I really got into my own thing, which even though I was working for companies, I used all of those as my own businesses, basically. I thought of them that way. So the last company I had as a director of sales, had 42 salesmen, 200 employees, and we did $100 million in 2023. And the best part about all of that is when I found God, and I put God in all of my businesses, I did not keep him separate from my business. That's when everything transformed. My life, my business, my marriage. I met my wife, and she's been a saint. She's encouraged me through this whole journey. That's a whole God story in and of itself, and how I met her. She's not here. She's going to be here, but she allows me to do this stuff and get in front of people to talk about faith and business, marrying those two up. So that's my story. We'll get into AI here and why I started utilizing it, getting people around you. This is a tool that I can actually get more people around me, utilize my superpower with ADHD into AI and do that. So, and I'll try to keep this under, how much time we got? 20 minutes or so? Perfect. So, now getting into AI. With a raise of hands, who uses AI on a daily basis? Okay, decent amount. Say maybe half, right? Who has heard about ChatGPT? Just about everybody. Okay. Do you know about any other LLMs? Which an LLM is a large language model. That's what OpenAI is, which is ChatGPT. So we have Perplexity, we have Claude, we have Gemini, we have Copilot, we have Grok, we have Meta. There's so many different AIs out there today, right, that you can utilize. And there's so many different ones that do different things. So I would really like to get into just some basic things that you guys can utilize within AI in your businesses and why you would use them. So when I've been asked multiple times which AI is the best. Well, the best one is the one that you use. It doesn't matter which one, okay? They all do a little bit things differently, but the best one is the one that you use. So ChatGPT is one that we're going to get into, and actually, I think Craig, you did a video for me, didn't you? Let's see if we can pull that up here.
Hey, I'm AI Craig Bauger, smarter than the real me, but still confused by most tech buttons. Now listen, if you're talking AI, there's only one name you need to know. Jason Webb. The guy's a genius. While I'm over here trying to reset my password for the 5th time, Jason's building bots that close deals in their sleep. He's funny, sharp, good-looking, basically everything I told AI to make me, and it just spit out a picture of Jason. So if you want results, don't ask me. I'm just the avatar. Ask Jason. He's the real wizard. I'm just here for comic relief.
Thanks, Craig. I really appreciate it. I think you had a cold that day. The voice was a little off. I don't know. Just one tool that you can utilize within AI, right? You see a lot of this stuff, so I had to throw that up there. And just to show you the ease of use in doing this, I actually created that video in about 30 seconds just while I was sitting over here. Okay? So when Craig and Des and Ben, everybody asked me to do this presentation, they wanted me to send over the presentation a couple weeks in advance. And I was like, you know what? I could do that, but I want to utilize AI in front of you guys to create a presentation to show you how fast you can do this stuff with OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gamma, a few different tools that you can utilize in your business right now. So we're going to do that right here. It's an actual workshop, right? What we're going to do is get into OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. Let's go right here. Okay. Actually, let's go to this one right here. So what I ended up doing is I want to teach you a prompt framework. Okay. And what a prompt is you're basically telling the AI what to do. You all have done a little bit of this. If you haven't, this is one thing that you can do to get into AI. Okay. In the prompting framework, you're going to get in there and just have a conversation with it. You're going to tell it what to do, how to do it, and all these things. And prompting is a big thing to everybody. They're like, you know what? I need prompts. I need to be taught prompts. I need to buy these prompts. And there's so many places out there that you can buy prompts that are already there. I want to tell you right now, don't do that. You don't need to buy prompts. Okay? I want to teach you a framework for prompting AI and talking to AI and how to use it. And I would like to take credit for this, but I can't. It's by a close friend of mine, Jonathan Mast. He has a Facebook group with about 400,000 people, and he's at the forefront of a lot of this AI, and me and him actually do a TV show now about AI. Well, the perfect prompt framework is there's going to be 4 things. So if you get your notebooks out, I don't have a screen to put it on there, so I want to tell you these things, okay? So number 1, you want to tell the AI who it's going to act as. You know, act as a copywriter, act as a engineer, act as a marketer, whatever you want it to act as. So that's number 1. Number 2, you want to give it context. So you want to tell it about the business, about just give it background of it so it has knowledge of whatever you're trying to do. Okay. Number 3, you want to tell it the task that it's going to do, or at least the outcome that you want to get out of this. So a lot of times I'll say, act as an AI prompt engineer. The context, give it all of the business data, or even put in the website of the business so it can do research on its own, and give it all that background. Once you do that, and you say, okay, now you act as the prompt engineer, give it the context. My goal is to create a prompt that can replicate myself in responses or emails or really get my voice, okay? So I put that in the 3rd thing. The fourth thing, and the most important thing, and not a lot of people do this, is actually tell the prompt, say, ask me any clarifying questions if needed. Because you might not know what questions to ask. Okay, we know all the tasks to tell it, but we don't know all of that. So that's the most important thing. It is a smart technology. If you don't know something with it, ask it. Have conversations with it. Okay? When it asks, or when you put that in there, it'll start asking you questions, and it might spit out 10 questions. So then you just break it down and say, hey, you know what, ask me one question at a time. So it'll start asking you one question. If you don't know the answer to that one, say, you know, explain this to me, or simplify this question, or ask it in a different way. You know, in Craig, in my case, we say, act as I'm the third grader and teach me that way. Okay, so we want it simplified. Or give me examples. So once you do all that and you talk it through, it'll build out whatever you want on that. So that's what we did in some of these here. It's like, here's different tools. I was just showing you. We have some things there. Let's go here for AI for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. What I wanted to do on this one, and you can read through the prompt right there, it just says, act as Jason Webb, an AI expert that is presenting AI for the kingdom at the Ignite Christian Business 2025 conference. Our audience is Christian entrepreneurs. You know, we want to do all of these things. I gave it context. I gave it the perfect prompt framework. And I wanted to build an outline for a slide deck. Okay? So we're going to build a slide deck for the presentation right here and just show you how fast this can be done. I did this out there just so I wouldn't have to type in front of you because I knew I'd be holding the mic. So it created this presentation outline right here. So what we're going to do, oops, sorry about that, is now we are going to copy this whole thing, and we're going to paste it in gamma.ai, which Gamma is a tool that you guys, I highly recommend you check it out, you use it. Builds presentations, slide decks, it can build websites, it can build a lot of different things for you within AI. You just prompt them what to do. But all of these things are, you know, there are subscription-based, there are free ones, but Gamma's, they're all fairly inexpensive. I think Gamma's about $10 a month. So we're gonna pop that in there. We're gonna do a presentation on this. Let's go to continue. Again, walking through workshops on this and how we can do this, right? We can change anything we want in this, tone, you know, a lot of different things that we can do here. Just gonna hit continue. And now we pick a theme that we want. Let's pick this first one, generate. So you can see how fast this is gonna go, and I hope the internet sticks up here so we can do this, right? And how this can build a presentation. And you'll see it build in real time, imaging, text, you know, everything that we need for our presentation. Pretty quick in how it's working, right? So when I was talking earlier about putting the right people around you, can you see how this can be one of those people around you, even though it's not a real person, to help you succeed in business, especially as an entrepreneur, where we're trying to build something from the ground up with not a lot of costs, not a lot of expenses. We're talking about $20 a month. And now we have a full presentation. We can do pitch decks. We can do everything within this. Pretty incredible in how this works. And now we can also export this. Let's say, okay. Sure. Put happy on that. It's great. Skip. So now we have here, so now we have a full presentation if you look over here on the side. Pretty incredible things, and let's go through it real fast just to show you. So AI for the kingdom, we have a picture of AI here. We talk about it. It says, you know, we can take this out and we can actually add our branding in here very quickly. We can put our logos in here and everything we do. We talk about our journey, and we can put this into presentation mode in PowerPoint, in you know, presenter or Google or Apple presenter. Sorry, can't talk. We can do it in PowerPoint. We can do anything so we can send these out with this. But I wanted to show you how fast I can build a presentation right in front of you guys, and you guys can do this for any of your stuff as well. Let's go through it real fast. I'm gonna slide through some of these things so you can see it. What is AI? Biblical alignment. You know, ethical implications. We want to go through that, right? Especially as biblical entrepreneurs. So we'll talk about that here in a second. The perfect prompt framework. We talk about that. Practical tools and resources. If anybody wants this, okay, we'll get your contact information. I'll send this all to you so you have a copy of this. And that way you can pull from this. You can get in contact with me, any of these things. I want to talk about the ethical implications within AI, especially us as Christian entrepreneurs, faith-based leaders. A lot of people are afraid of AI, okay? Because of what it can do and thinking that it's going to take the place of a human. We have to think of this as just a tool, okay? A tool that God gave us, that the enemy can use and is going to use. We've already seen that in a lot of different places. But we need to lead with this. We need to be at the forefront of this technology, so we're using it in the right capacity, okay? It can be a tool that we can utilize for the gospel. You know, there's other tools within here that we can utilize to actually research the gospel, get this out there more. We talk about, translation work. We can use AI to translate now. I'll tell you some examples of that here in a minute, but we can use this tool, and we have to. We have to be at the forefront of this. So me, at the beginning of this, I said, I'm not an AI expert, and I'm not. Okay, but I use AI every single day. And the more that you use it, the more that you're gonna get better with it. Okay, I use it in my studies. When I'm talking to God, I get in here, I'm reading the scripture, and I put it in here and say, okay, I need you to teach me about this phrase or this gospel, or I need to understand it. And that's one tool that you can utilize AI for, is you can actually use it to interview yourself, which I did. So act as a psychologist, an educator, an interviewer, a journalist. I said, the goal is, remember we talked about the 4 things, is I want you to be able to learn how I learn. We all learn in different styles. I told you, I said I have ADHD. So I learn in a different way than most people. Well, I tell it, okay, I want you to learn how I learn. And then I say that's the goal, to do this. Give it context of what I'm trying to have it teach me, and then I again ask, what questions do you need to know to make this happen? So then I spend an hour with it, just conversating back and forth, and I have it on my computer, I have it on my phone, and it actually saves back and forth between all of it. So on my phone, it's really cool because I can actually talk to it. So I can put my headphones in, and I can actually have conversations with it back and forth that way, where it speaks to me and it speaks out. Well, I go through that whole interview process, and now it's saved in its system. We call that training, and it's very easy to train. You just talk to it back and forth. And now anything that I want to learn, I run it through that filter. So something that would have took me, a week to learn, I can now learn in just a couple hours. So especially when it comes to the gospel, because I'm not a guy that can sit and quote scripture. Well, now I can actually understand a lot of the stories and pick it up in a different context, and then learn the basis of it, why it's there, how it came about, who wrote it. Like, I can learn all of these things very, very quickly in the way that I learn. Pretty cool tool that you can utilize. So I talked about a little bit earlier the translation piece. I was in Puerto Rico about a month ago. One thing I like to do is, my wife kind of makes fun of me of this, because when I'm in other cultures, like, I grew up in a very Hispanic culture, and I do pick up a lot of Spanish. I understand a lot of it, but I can't speak it, okay? And I try from time to time, and she makes fun of me. It's okay. It is what it is. But I use the app to be able to translate. I'll take a picture of where I was at there. I was in kind of a corner, and everything's in Spanish. I took a picture of it, and I put it in there, because I can actually read pictures. And I said, translate this sign, translate this picture, translate all of these things, and it spits me out a context of everything that's right there. Or when I was talking to my waiter, I put that on and have it voice recording what he's saying, and then I can actually have that translated in English so I can speak to him. Translation app. Very easy. It's all in one. So, another tool that you can utilize to do that. Is there any specific questions, as this is a workshop, of things that you guys would like to know or like to see or have any ideas on? I'd like to throw it out to you guys instead of me just speaking up here and listening to myself talk. So, anybody have any questions that we would like to maybe do an example on? Jeff, ready?
I think part of the problem with Christians and AI is that we're afraid that the information we're getting may not be real. Where is it coming from? Is there a dark source behind it or anything like that? How would you come to the conclusion that it's safe and the content is okay and that it's really giving you accurate information and it's okay to believe it?
Okay, so the question is, the content that you're getting out of this, like when you are doing research of things, how do we know that that's the right content? How do we know that that is correct? Where is the knowledge base coming from? Is that correct? Just so everybody knows. Well, we know where all of this data is coming from is basically the internet, but when we talk about it and we actually prompt it in things saying, look, you're a biblical scholar, we want this to be based off of the Bible in this version, and however you want to put it in there, when you tell it exactly where to pull that knowledge base from, you know it's accurate. Because it can, at some points, it will actually falsify a few things. Not when you prompt it that way, it won't. But if you don't give it some of those directions, it will. So it's a good question. Sure.
In a lot of the things that we see nowadays with the AI, they're able to hack into people's phones and give you a bad rap on this stuff. How can you prevent that from AI doing what they're doing now? Because people are using it in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I wrap my head around the actual question. So I don't necessarily, when I'm picking up, understand how the phone is listening or how AI is listening, because realistically, we all have phones on us right now. Siri's listening to all of us right now.
Correct. That's why we have the Google.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of different ways to protect against that. You can always go through a VPN, which there's quite a few out there. I highly recommend SaferNet. You can put it on your phone, put it on your computer. You can do a lot of different things within that. And I'm sure we have some few here at the vendors too. That's just the one I personally use because it protects anything that's going through a traffic source. So basically, it filters out anything bad for imaging, anything bad for words, lets us know all of those things. So you definitely have to protect yourself with that. But we're constantly being listened to. How do we're talking about something and literally we look up at our phone or Facebook or something like that and we see those ads pop up, right? Yeah. Or your wife might be speaking into the phone while you're over here. I was thinking, if things are popping up your phone, I never talked about that, but your wife's subtly doing that stuff to you. So. Not saying my wife does that. Love you, babe.
Okay.
Perfect. So there are two different things within this we'll get into. So this is basically just basic AI, and I know that's why we want to do a base touch on this. More of the more advanced stuff is the AI agent stuff. So what an AI agent is basically, I don't use that through ChatGPT. I use maybe some form of that within other forms. We'll pull in LLMs with API connections. But I use Musa, and there's a few other ones that we use, agent-centric and different things. But what it does is actually, it can do multiple tasks. So like right here, we just tell it one task, right? So what an AI agent can do is we can actually use that to do multiple tasks and actually talk back and forth to each other to learn and automate tasks. So there are a lot of things that are moving to agents, AI agents, and you guys will start to see a lot more of that in the next year probably, about that replacing a lot of positions. One AI agent that we built was for onboarding clients with a certain company, I won't say the name, but when they were onboarding clients, we calculated the time that it took their team to do it, and it was about 38 hours when they were doing it by hand. When we built out the AI agent, we cut that down to 3 hours. Big. Huge cost savings, right? Because we could automate certain tasks that were just time killers. So as us as entrepreneurs, is it replacing somebody? Yes, it is, I'm not gonna lie. But we also still have to look a little bit at the bottom line and saying, look, we wanna help more people, and maybe not give them that job, but what we do is we wanna make more so we can give more. We talk about the keepers of the oil, right? That's what we wanna be able to do. So yes, I hope that helps.
Back here, Jason.
Sure.
Okay, question, a couple things. One, I think that, I love that you're teaching us this, thank you. But I also want people to be aware, and you too, there's legislation now, talk about political update, but we were just learning about it on the way here yesterday too, about how as they are getting all of these databases for AI and everything like that, they're grabbing all of our intellectual property, right? So the creators. So my question with that, and I know that people are working to protect that. So as business people, as the keepers of the oil, as the creators, we need to be sure to be aware of that. But then how do we protect our intellectual property? How do we make sure that books, our things, that we're creating, whether it's, written or spoken or whatever, is not then used and profiting someone else at the expense of our oil.
I understand.
Yeah. Thanks.
That is definitely a question that's a hot topic right now, because legislation is going through to work on that. Right now, I don't have that answer for you, I'll be honest with you, Linda. So I don't want to go down a line to say that I know that. Again, not necessarily an AI expert, but we can definitely dig into that because I know there's legislation going through to work on that. Because right now it's open source. So one thing that I was doing within our groups on the Friday mornings is, we're going through book studies and things, and with my ADHD, I have a hard time just sitting and reading. So what I would do is I'd take pictures of the pages, throw them into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a summary of this, again, in the way that I learn, and it would do it just like that. So I could do that. But it's definitely something that is at the forefront.
Just to follow up on that, I was just asking if I could. Who here has heard of Robbie Starbuck? He's the one
Yes.
who has really been pushing against all the DEI and all these major corporations and everything like that. Well, he actually has a lawsuit right now against Meta in that, because if you would ask, ChatGPT who Robbie Starbucks is, or go to Meta, whatever, it would be like he's Nazi-like, and it's all these really awful things.
Yeah, they do.
And so, we have to look, and you were talking about it, it's like, well, it's aggregated from the web, so it's all this information, and we just have to be so sure that what we find is truth, because thankfully Robbie has the resources and the name to be able to fight back on that, but all of us need to be the protectors of our oil that God has given us.
100%. Yeah, make sure what you are doing and putting out there is true and accurate content. So we talk about all these things as a tool and a resource. It's not the end-all be-all. We still have to have human intuition with this thing and making sure that we're using it correctly.
Yes, I was going to ask you about agents. Somebody beat me to it already, though. But I did wonder if you could expand upon that. There's also, beyond AI and agents, you get into machine learning and data sets and modeling. Can you touch on that a little bit, please?
Like when you look into OpenAI, right, there's a new model coming out just about every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, whatever that is. It's the data source that it's pulling in. When you looked at OpenAI when it first came out a few years ago, and the rapid growth that we've had in the past just year and a half to 2 years, you've seen, 8 different models come out that pull different data sets, think faster, move faster. We're getting into quantum computing faster. Everything's just getting faster and better. You look at the new models that come out with imaging, with OpenAI, it can actually do a lot of imaging now, where it couldn't before, where you had to use flux and different things to do that, which I'll show you a thing real fast on flux, just so you can see this. So this is a picture that I just did over here. I did a photo shoot with myself saying I'm in front of an audience speaking. I had trained a Flux Laura to do this. So my image that I had trained, and I just gave it a prompt to build an image for me real fast. Not bad, right? But again, I don't necessarily have all the answers for that, but we can definitely talk more off-site here. I know we're kind of wrapping up time here. Anybody else?
You probably heard me, but I'm just trying to see, is there any way to decipher if something is actually AI versus not, since there's all this false mess out here?
No. The more that you get into AI, the more that you can actually recognize it and you can see it. But with the new models that are coming out, it's getting much more difficult to be able to see, because it's actually getting more like human. Like when you're creating content or creating emails or creating posts, you tell it everything to create and do, and then you say humanize this, and it changes the way the verbiage goes. And especially if you've trained it on how you speak, your tone, everything else, sounds exactly like you. Sure. So I'm going to put my mic down real fast.
As you're pulling that up, Jason, because one of the things I want to be able to do, I want to take this deeper. So to wrap this, go ahead and find what you're going to find. But would it be helpful if we did another workshop, maybe online, with Jason? Because again, this is stuff that we've got to understand. This is things. I mean, you've seen that stuff. I thought it was very rude for him to use that picture of me, but But at the same time, I mean, not only that, but Jason, how long did it take you to do that?
15 seconds.
I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah, so just showing you real fast, guys. I had context of what I post on a lot of my Facebook stuff. I already have it trained in my system, so I wanted to go off that so I didn't have to build out all the context. So I just put a post about Ignite, and I said humanize it. And if you look right here, it's created the full post. I can copy that and paste that in all my social medias. I already have it built out for Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of them, Twitter. Copy and paste it in there. But if you look at it, one thing that you can tell is still the AI likes to use emojis. Okay, we see that a lot. We can take those out very easy, just say, hey, take them out. But what I have it constantly doing is actually, it's researching trending topics, it's researching what's going viral. Every time it creates a post, I've already built that into the prompt before, so that's how we can build things out for what we do. But a lot
Jason,
of stuff
that was
AI.
so good.
30 minutes is short, so I
That
hope
was
you got
so
something
good.
out of it. Find me over in the corner. One thing I want to give everybody too,
yeah, do that.
right here, guys. One thing that we do with MyLeco and our profitable Christian business is getting in front of the right clients, right? So this is a QR code. It's for clientsforthekingdom.com, something I want to give you guys free. Jump on there, fill a few things out, and it'll do a full research on who your ideal client is, send you a Google Doc with all the data on there about who that is. So check it out. I'll leave it up there for a second.
Everybody stand and give Jason a hand as well. Jason, nice job. Beautiful job.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite Kingdom Talk. If you're hungry for deeper connection and real kingdom growth, join us for our free monthly Ignite community call, held every second Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central on Zoom. It's a space for prayer, kingdom connection, and practical wisdom from seasoned Christian leaders across industries, owners, executives, and marketplace experts who walk with God and lead with purpose. And if you're ready to go deeper, consider joining Ignite Partner Access. This is where Christian business leaders link arms for accountability, growth, and spirit-led impact through small groups and strategic support. You can find both opportunities and more at ignite-kg.org. If this episode encouraged you, consider sharing it with somebody who's ready to run boldly into their calling. Thank you again for joining us for this episode of Ignite Kingdom Talk. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His favor ignite your work in the name of Jesus.